Hello class, my name is Alyssa Baez. This is the video submission for the discussion post of the reflection and interpretation of Chapter 7, California Lost, Image and Reality. This is for Chicano Studies, and the date is December 10th, 2019. The myth of California as the American apotheosis was popularized by the play Ramona, ironically based on a novel by Helen Hunt Jackson that was intended to be critical of the treatment of the California Indian. It was because of this production that a myth was created which set in place an illusion or distortion between realistic fiction and reality. An image that Don Mitchell describes of the Jodes tribe arriving at the top of the Tehachapi mountain pass, looking down at what is called the California Eden, influenced this false idea. The landscape was used as a metaphor to represent how people viewed the California Eden. They saw it as a romantic story of how the Spaniards brought development and civilization to the land of California, and with it salvation and an idealistic life. However, the Jones tribe gets closer. As the Jodes tribe gets closer, they see the suffering of workers. The myth is when views are made from the outside looking in, it could be seen as a grand and wholesome place. But once people begin to peer in a little deeper, they see that is not what it seems to be. The truth is that before the arrival of the Spaniards, California was one of the most heavily populated areas in what is now known as the United States. The world had known for some time that there was gold in California, but it wasn't until 1848 when James Wilson Marshall found gold on John Sutter's property. Then there was a massive influx of people that came in. This influx of people had left the Mexican population overwhelmingly outnumbered. According to the text, at times, the white gold panners outnumbered the Mexican gold panners 10-1. By 1852, the gold mining industry in California had mined $80 million worth of gold. By 1865, the Californians mined $750 million worth in gold. Although when these huge numbers were reached, only a few were able to thrive on gold. Those are the people who had the funding for the stamp mills, smelters, and foundries. The gold rush of 1849 was an enormous economic boost for the state of California. It introduced the banking system to California. Even before the gold rush ended, the Yankees were already thinking a few steps ahead and began to shift their focus on securing more land for themselves. In the year 1851, the U.S. Congress passed the California Land Act. This law encouraged squatters on the territory to challenge both Spanish and Mexican land grants by demanding that all owners provide the title establishing a land court. This act was in clear violation of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, and because of manifest destiny, the Euro-Americans insisted that they had special privileges by right of conquest. While the degree of racism between was different between class statuses, Los Ricos were not spared from racism, even if they married gringos. Most Californios were not pure-blooded Castilians, but they were of frontier descent, who were mixtures of Indian, African American, and Spanish. Therefore, as more Euro-Americans migrated into the territory, racism began to increase. And to the new arrivals, a greaser was a greaser, no more, no less. Many of Los Ricos pandered to the white minority that included people who were often amongst the worst of the U.S. society, and gang-affiliated discrepancies became prevalent. Joaquin Murrieta is best known as Bandit in California. He migrated to California during the gold rush, and in doing so, land claim jumpers invaded his land twice. When they invaded, they had gang raped his wife, lynched his older brother, and almost beat Joaquin to death. Once he realized he wasn't going to get help from the system, he began to avenge his loved ones on his own accord. After becoming so notorious by stealing from the gringos that robbed him so dearly, at least 41 Mexican bandits were calling themselves by Joaquin Murrieta. The 1860s were a difficult time for the Mexican elite. Natural disasters rapidly accelerated their decline. For example, in 1862, a flood devastated California ranchers. Declining cattle prices forced the ranchers to mortgage their property at insane interest rates. Gradually, over time, they had to sell their land piece by piece to pay their mortgages. Then, within a few decades, the Californios were almost landless in California. And as for labor in California, it was much different from the labor situation in Arizona. Mexican labor did not dominate the workforce in California during the 19th century. The laborers of choice were other ethnic minorities such as Chinese and Irish immigrants. Despite this new order, the old order still treated Native Americans shamefully. They continued to be captured, sold, as well as raped. Thank you.